Welcome to Her Fund Talks, the podcast where we will deep dive into the topics of gender conscious investment and female led enterprises. I'm your host, Milena Stojceva, and it is a great pleasure today to welcome a friend, an entrepreneur, and somebody who's really making a difference in the world of entrepreneurship, Vanda Seidelova. Vanda is a founder, but also an investor and a mentor. She has an interesting story. Let me just share a few words about her. She studied international relations in Prague and Bologna before working in think tanks and business development across Czech Republic, China, and the USA. In 2019, she founded Twixie, a startup that was working, an edtech, working in the field of education, in preschool administration, which is now currently used by 1,000 and more than 1,500 schools and nurseries. She led Twixie through a merger and a full exit in 2024. And with Twixie, she was awarded to be among the 20 most innovative personalities in 2020 and holds third place of Women's Startup Competition globally for 2021. Now she's into another role. She's focused on entrepreneurship and investing, recently acquiring Competition and Enterprise, which is the Czech Republic's largest high school entrepreneurship program. And she plans to scale it internationally and support thousands of students to develop their own startups and businesses. She also serves as Czech representative in the European Female Founders Forum, which is also where we met, on the advisory board of her fund and the board of directors of Czech Founders. Beyond business, Vanda loves to travel with family. She's practicing yoga and also practicing fly sports and aircraft, something very interesting for female founders, and enjoys a good coffee or shisha at times in her favorite bistro. Interesting, Vanda. So good to have you on Her Fun Talks.
Thank you very much for having me.
And thank you for being really open and ready to share some of your story and insights on what it means to be in the world of female founders. But how do we actually making a difference through such work and enterprises that we develop? So let me start with a question that is recently becoming even more topical on the landscape of Europe. How would you define a less connected innovation ecosystem, which is one of the goals that we have in her fund project, in terms of connecting different ecosystems in the capacity of their growth and development and competitiveness? So how would you define a less connected innovation ecosystem? And what are the specific barriers for women founders when there exist in such ecosystems in order to overcome and to have their businesses grow and blossom?
Thank you for this question. I really believe it is very important because in my perspective, these ecosystems or these areas are not only as looking at it as from country, from the perspective of different metrics, of course, but even within the countries, and you know it very well from both Bulgaria, Czech Republic, we have metropolises, or we have more connected areas, and then we have other areas that really need much more support. And what I see that we are missing out a lot of talent and a lot of opportunities when we do not access the talents from these other regions. And in general, also, if we already build these local ecosystems, and there is luckily getting more and more initiatives in this area across the Europe. I can really see it, and I'm visiting these places. Unfortunately, a lot of times, all of them are doing duplicity of the work because they are putting together curricula, they are putting together network, and so on. And I believe that this is one of the great things that Her Fund is bringing on the table right now, to connect these local ecosystems, to focus on those places that are even less developed now and help them to thrive a little more, and to be able to share some resources, because in the end, all of us want more or less the same things. And with shared resources, we can actually really achieve much more.
Yes, this is great. I think it's what we often underestimate, and it seems so simple, doesn't it? That we can, instead of reinventing the wheel every time, we can actually support each other to go to the next level. And this is the beauty, to me, also of building this network. And to go on then, because you are on the advisory board of Her Fund Talks, to go on further on this topic, what kind of impact do you expect Her Fund to have on the overall innovation ecosystem across Europe? And we know we are already connecting the dots and connecting these, I call them hotspots of innovation activities. But how can we have actually a bigger, we need acceleration of the change, and also we need the acceleration of the impact. What kind of impact do you expect that Her Fund would have?
I think for sure it's great that Her Fund is doing many layers of support. On one side, of course, we do some kind of ambassadorship of the topic in general. We are bringing it more to the public. We are also doing some practical steps. We are doing research, but then we really go to this place and do basically sleeves up and do the daily work in the locations, which is great. And this means that the whole project stands on really solid fundamentals. To be more precise, what I really believe that is problem, and of course now I'm a little biased because I'm from the Czech Republic, but many countries and mainly many areas in these less connected areas and ecosystems, they still, as female founder, struggle with a lot of dogmas of what is the role of women and men in a household in general. And even though that we have, let's say, 35 years after the change of the new standards, it's still just one generation, basically, or it's getting slightly towards the second generation. And I believe that these huge systemic changes takes 3-4 generations to actually reach a real big change. So unfortunately, as a female founder, very often we are struggling, or they are struggling in these areas with many layers of the problems. Some are more practical, such as in Czech Republic, for example, we still do not have enough of preschools for small kids. So if you want to work as a woman who has small kids, you are allowed and even actually incentivized to stay for 3 years at home, but there are almost non-existence of part-time jobs in the Czech Republic. So we are really missing out a lot of women who would love to, and based on the data, it's 86% of these women would love to work and even start their own businesses, but just they don't have, unfortunately, the resources or the infrastructure for it. So these
the support system.
Absolutely, it is the support system, and that's one thing that, of course, we have to work on it locally, mainly within our countries. But also, what is Her Fund helping with is change of the narrative in a way, and of course, it's a lot about educating all of the stakeholders.
Excuse me.
It is important because we really need to change the this and take out this stigma from perspective of you are not a good mother if you are having your business. It's nonsense. You can do both. And no one's questioning actually that you are not a good father if you are having a company. And I just believe that it just doesn't make sense in 21st century. But unfortunately, we are still living in areas that it's being very much rooted in our society. And I'm happy that this is also one of the priorities of her fund's activities, that we are trying to educate and show that it can actually be combined very well, and it's very big help also to the economies.
Yes, well, and also you are you already have had a successful entrepreneurial venture where you're the founder.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that this really feels empowering because you then know you can make it. You can do it from personal experience. What so now you're looking also at investing, and I think this is great again from point of view of role modeling and inspiration that you could give to other women. So, what motivates you to invest in startups? And what specific qualities would you look for in a business when you're making such decisions?
Mm-hmm. I'm obviously not professional investor. I'm not coming from the area of or expertise of banking or investment or asset management, but I'm very practical from the perspective of being entrepreneur and venture builder myself. So, of course, when I'm now trying to support other entrepreneurs and new founders and also female founders, of course, in their ventures. And of course, depends on what stage of the company you focus on, because I'm investing through different vehicles. I'm investing as angel investor, and of course, then the ticket size is a little different, and also the stage of the company is different. So there, I am looking at the business model, of course, the fundament of the company. So simple mathematics is always there, but also I'm very much looking into the this drive of the founder, and I really want to see that they love what they are doing. They ideally have some personal interest in the problem that they are solving, that it's something what's really bothering them when they wake up, and this is one day they just decided to change it, because then there is this personal motivation, and I believe that this is what makes you work hard even when it's not easy. So of course this, and I'm trying to talk to them also about softer level of communication, about what will be ahead of them or ahead of us, because still being having such a relationship, it's kind of like a marriage. It's a bond for a couple of years, and we should get on very well. So I'm really trying to be communicative about and very honestly about what might happen and how we will tackle it, and kind of minimize the potential risk metrics, I would call it, so that we are really aligned. And if this all is happening in angel level, I think it's good enough. And then I try to, of course, give them advices, but it's on them. And of course, when it's a later stage and I'm on some within some group where more people invest together, and we are able to be giving a little more or a little bigger tickets, then of course you look much deeper into the mathematics. Also, that founder is important, but also, let's say, the management team already needs to be in place. And also what I really like is to be looking at the expansion strategies, because this is something what I was very closely within, and I'm trying to really understand what is the business fundament, and if we can believe that this growth can be achievable. So this is basically my perspective. But as I said, I really love enthusiastic people. So apart from, let's say, very practical investments, I am supporting a lot of students and young people with so-called validation tickets. So it's a couple of thousands of euros. But let's say you are a high schooler and you want to start or try your own business, the first one, and I am not even expecting that there will be any revenues back from it or that they will actually succeed in this one. That would be awesome, but it's not even the point. But I try to have them handle the first money. And sometimes it's really 500 euros enough for them to start to think about, oh, I have budget now, so how can I work with it and so on. And it helps within the educational project and programs.
I just love this because I have to be honest. This is one of my passions. I also very strongly believe that at a certain point in time, it doesn't really matter so much the amount. What matters is there is somebody who is who is investing, who believes in what you're doing, and who is ready to give you, that shoulder. I mean, or give you that hour that is needed to maybe share, to get a bit of support, encouragement. So I just love what you're doing. I agree, especially for the early age. It's more like spreading the spirit, right? Isn't
Yes,
it?
yes,
Yes.
absolutely.
So this is so important, and it's so critical in terms of creating this new culture and new way of looking at the world and encouraging a generation that is proactive.
Absolutely.
Great for what I really congratulate you for making that step and helping with this. What role do you think, though, is there a place for governments and public institutions to also play a role in this, in providing a nurturing environment and space for the culture to blossom, to develop? And how could they encourage a more equitable investment landscape?
Yeah, great question. I'm now quite deep into it, not only locally, but of course I am looking into the pan-European and all European level, of course, within EU. But there is quite a lot that can be done. Of course, it differs in different countries because in different countries we are somewhere else. Of course, very much discussed this startup approach to basically what is the startup index in different countries. I am going a little further to this because I'm saying that not startups are great and I love them and I'm a startupist myself, but not every company must be a startup. And in European Union, almost 90% of companies are SMEs. So it's totally fine not to be a unicorn, but do something even more locally. But also we need to bring a lot of new money, new sources of money. And unfortunately, it's a shame that, for example, in the European Union, we do not have the instruments to support much more of the institutional money to be invested into startups or more risky asset classes. Because, for example, German unicorns are basically being co-owned or invested from Americans, pension funds. And why don't we do it? We are basically really missing out the opportunities here.
Totally agree. Totally agree.
This could be one of the things. And not only this, I believe that we could support angel investors and taxing, that they could maybe put it into their taxes, at least temporarily. ESOPs, they're in many countries still not standardized, which is a shame because we want to pay taxes. We don't want to do some gray zone, but we cannot pay like social security and health insurance from basically like bond
issuance. Yeah.
It's if you even don't have the money right now, how would you evaluate it? Yeah, that's so these things, and it's from the perspective of how to bring more opportunities to the ecosystem, but also on the other side. And now I'm talking also for women. It's to have the infrastructure on the other side. So incentivize women to be able to step over their like maternity leave that is very long in some countries, not in all, but in some, and be able to give them the support in the start. I also believe that variety of programs, luckily, they are happening to support female founders, also investors. I really love the initiatives to support angel investors, let's say, because I could use such a project or programs a couple of years ago when you don't know how to start and what to look at. And last but not least, I really believe that it's the education, it's the fundament. And we are trying to fixing the problem now with the people who are 20, 25, but we have to start much earlier. And I see it because we were treating hundreds and thousands of preschools. So we already see how the kids' development is being done. And unfortunately, we are still missing, and especially in some countries, the countries of former Eastern Bloc mainly, we are still missing a lot of skills to be taught within the school curricula. But then the scissors are actually really spreading much more and more because the time right now, the age is super fast. The demand on the skills is being upgraded and super shifted with these technologies that are amazing, and we have them, but we have to learn how to operate within this world. And unfortunately, the curricula that we still have is not sufficient. So this is what I'm focusing on now. I'm really trying to help to build the projects. I call it the school business camps. And you know that each class within the high schools, no matter what type of high schools you study, you go, for example, to skiing camp. But why do you study skiing for a week? Maybe you will never ski again. I believe that entrepreneurship mindset is much more important. And not necessarily that you need to start a company. You can maybe start an NGO, or you don't have to start anything at all. You can be an amazing employee. But the entrepreneurial mindset and skills are also critical thinking, are also validating, or are some financial literacy for both business and private life, are knowing that things are changing very fast and you kind of have to fail forward. So you will be making mistakes, and that's okay. So mental well-being with this and adaptability to change, because we have to change. We have to be learning how to change and adapt. And with these skills, I believe that we can thrive much more. So this is what I focus on now. And I believe that, of course, any level of organization, including states or even European level, could help with these projects and incentivize them maybe. And we will really benefit much, much more from it.
Thank you, Vanda. It's I feel like we're not only speaking the same language, but I feel like we are really almost repeating the same message and words because it's interesting. When you were saying this, is my career and my professional life started in education. And interestingly enough, I slowly moving into investing. And you're coming from, I've also been an entrepreneur as far as I remember myself. But I think this development from being a founder, an entrepreneur, an educator, to then investing becomes very natural and becomes very much with the same thinking and awareness that this is the way to make a difference and to have a meaningful, let's say, work or time to on this planet. I mean, to share on this planet. So thank you so much for this very passionate and insightful conversation. It's been a pleasure. And looking forward to continue working together to change the world. Thank
Cannot
you.
wait. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.